The crossover point between Trifalki and Xandaria was older than nations, older than the roads that had been built upon it, older than even the wars that had once raged across its weathered stones. And upon the ancient threshold, a giant lay dead. Iridian, the stone giant, the former sentinel of Xandaria, sprawled across the cobbled path, his colossal frame still and broken, his basalt flesh fractured with deep, unmendable wounds. Even in death, his presence was immense. Otague stood over him, his clawed fingers tightening at his sides, ears flickering against the cold wind that whispered through the ruins. Iridian had been the one who cast him out, the one who had forced him from this place, stolen his right, taken his duty. And now the giant was gone. The gate was unguarded, and Otague had come back to take his role. But as his eyes scanned the ruined path, as his foot stepped forward to reclaim what had been his, the air shuddered. The stones beneath him shifted, wet and unnatural, and from the gloom of the forgotten gate, the beast attacked. Otague moved on instinct. His ears twitched, catching the sound before his eyes could fully see it. A great shape, shifting like water in a broken glass, neither solid nor gas, neither beast nor man. It came from above, all coiling limbs and jagged fluid motion, a thing of living hydro, a form that did not belong in the realm of flesh. The first strike came fast, too fast. A clawed limb of liquid flesh lanced towards his chest. Otague twisted, dodging by a breath, his blade already flashing outward. His strike landed, and then nothing. The cut sealed immediately, the hydro reforming, reshaping, the wound never truly made. Otague's ears twitched. Of course. The beast let out a soundless, echoing howl, not a cry of pain, not a roar of rage, but something else, something impossibly deep, as if a tide had just shifted beneath the world itself. And then it came. Otague was already moving, dodging the next strike, weaving through the onslaught of claws and lashing tendrils, searching for a weakness, for a point where hydro could break. And then his foot hit something solid. He risked a glance. Iridian's stone chest. For a moment, Otague hesitated. Then, gritting his teeth, he leapt onto the dead giant's body, gaining height, gaining position. The beast whipped around to follow, and then Otague saw it. The old runes still carved in Iridian's body, symbols of sealing, of warding, of binding. And in that moment he understood. Iridian had not just died in battle, he had been a key. And now with his death, the gate had begun to open. Otague leapt from the giant's corpse, landing just in front of the crossover gate, a towering structure of ancient stone and forgotten power, its edges humming with unseen force. The hydro beast coiled before him, its shifting limbs pulling back, reforming, preparing for the final strike. It was not here to kill him, it was here to stop him. Otague's eyes narrowed. Not this time, he muttered. His blade shifted, twisting in his grip, the edge turning downward. He drove it in the snow beneath his feet. The ground cracked, and the old runes flared back to life. The hydro beast recoiled, screaming in silence, its body losing shape, struggling to remain formed in a place where it had no right to be. Otague stepped forward, pressing his palm to the stone, calling upon the words he had not spoken since the day he had been cast out. By the rights of Xandaria, the gate trembled. By the law of the sentinels, the air howled. The beast writhed, lashing out one final time, and Otague met it head on. His blade cleaved through the water, through air, through something deeper, something unnatural, and the gate slammed shut. The force of it rippled outward, shattering the hydro creature's form, scattering its body into the ether, banished, dispersed, unmade. And then the world was still again. Otague stood there, his breath heavy, his blade still humming in his grip. He looked down at Iridian's motionless form. You threw me from this place. A pause. And now I am all that remains. The wind shifted. The gate was sealed once more, and Otague, sentinel of Xandaria, stood alone at the threshold, once again protector of what lay beyond. The job had never been Iridian's to take. It had always been his, and now it was his once more. The world had gone quiet. Otague stood at the threshold of the crossover gate, its towering stone now cold and dormant beneath his touch. The runes that had flared with power only moments ago had dimmed, their purpose fulfilled, their watch unbroken. The hydro beast was gone, Iridian was gone, and the balance still felt wrong. So he sat, cross-legged, blade resting across his lap. He let the silence settle around him. The wind curled through the ruins, whispering things only the land remembered, things lost before the first stone had been set upon the road. His breath slowed, his mind opened, and the world revealed itself. Priage was shifting. He could feel it, not just in the air, not just in the way the shadows stretched unnaturally at dusk, but in the current of things. The cities, built on order, on knowledge, on careful art of construction and foresight, were losing their centers, shadows, hydro, the crossing points weakening. The forces once kept apart were beginning to touch. That was not how it was meant to be, and yet it was happening all the same. Oteg's ears twitched. Why now? The age of primordial transmutation. That was the name whispered in dark places, in the forgotten halls of scholars who dared to look back instead of forward. The age when the Shen walked openly. The age when the world could still be reshaped by will alone. And if such a time was returning, what did that mean for the sentinels who still stood watch? Would the world need them anymore, or had the flood already begun? For centuries, the Shen had remained apart, the first architects of form. The beings who had once molded stone, sky, and sea had chosen distance over dominance. Their voices had faded, their presence had vanished. But if the old forces were stirring again, would the Shen remain silent forever? Oteg's claws tapped against the stone. If they do not act, then who would? Who was left to keep the world from breaking apart at the seams? A gust of wind curled through the ruins. Oteg opened his eyes. The gate stood before him, its ancient weight pressing against the very fabric of existence. Beyond it, something stirred. Not hydro, not shadow. Something older, something watching. Oteg exhaled slowly. So be it. He would remain. The sentinel of Xandaria had work yet to do. If his people would not wake, then he would stand in their place. For however long the world needed him, the end, or perhaps only the beginning.